The following is an Operation Podcast production.
I ended up in California and I lived in LA for 20 years. I ended up here because my dad hired a private investigator to find my mom again. And he found her in Santa Monica. At the time, my business partner too was like, you can't share your story. Like, this is so bad. And then I was like, I'm going to start talking about it. And then I was like, how can I, aside from fitness and meditation, how can I share my story and help other people? And so I decided to start the foundation in 2021.
Tell us about the book.
It took 5 years. I thought I was going to write it in a year. I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm going to write it, be done. But it took 5 years because there was so much transition.
Are you ready for a wild ride? I'm Alexis Artin, and I invite you to strap in because this is more than a podcast. This is Look at Me Now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Look at Me Now. And holy smokes, I feel like I just get so excited every time I get to sit down and have a conversation with somebody, because we try to be really, thoughtful about who we sit down with on this podcast. I say the collective we because there's so much more than me behind the scenes to this, but the story you are about to hear, the human you are about to meet, by golly, are we lucky. Karena Dawn is with me today.
IRL.
IRL, because I was actually on her podcast.
Yes.
And that was not IRL. And it was before I even had a podcast. Yeah. So it's just so snake eating its tail moment, circle of life moment. The circle of life.
I know, we were just catching up. You were just envisioning your podcast when you were on mine. And here it is. And here I am.
And here we are. People, don't give up on your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Can you, first of all, I just want you to tell everybody the laundry list of excellence of the things that you do, that you are, that you have founded, that you have created, that you have birthed into this world. Can you just introduce that to lay the landscape?
I'll lay the landscape of who I am today, and then we'll go back and how to get here from a very dark place. You have the assignment. Yes. Go. So currently today, I am the co-founder of Tone It Up. It's a women's fitness and nutrition platform. Founded it in 16 years ago. Full story there. I also founded the Big Silence Foundation, which is a mental health foundation. We have a great program called Therapy for All, where we provide therapy for those who can't afford therapy or don't have health insurance, or if health insurance doesn't cover it. It's also a podcast, and it is my memoir of growing up with a schizophrenic mother, amongst other things, and about taking hopelessness to hope and joy. And an audiobook of that hardcover just came out last week.
Is there anybody better suited for this podcast? I'm sorry. Hello. If you know what this podcast is about, you're like, okay, I'm in, turning the volume up. Let's go. Okay. You've already hinted at, we go all the way back to the past, right? To start the conversation, to plant the seeds of the journey. And you've already alluded to that there was some complexity there, that there was some shadow there. Can you walk us back to the beginning of, I don't want to say how your mess became your message, because it's not all messy, but walk us back to laying the roots for the growth that we're going to go on the ride for.
Yeah. I mean, in the messiness, there are moments of joy. And I think that's so important, rather than being the victim of your circumstances and what you grew up with. I have these tidbits of fun and playfulness growing up as a kid. How far back do we want to go? From Indiana, Midwestern girl. Life was really good and joyful. And back in the 90s, so I was born in 81, and end of 80s, early 90s, things started shifting in my household. And my mom would be in and out of the house, missing persons, things. I wasn't allowed to like watch TV or wear a graven image or all. Just my parents were fighting all the time. My mother thought my dad was part of a satanic cult, like wild. So eventually my mom, who ended up being a Jane Doe for 6 weeks and missing persons, they reached out to us, and I went and saw her after 6 weeks, and she was in a mental hospital, and the doctor had told me and my sister Rachel and my dad that she was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. Still can't spell that today. So in the 90s, no one's talking about it. So I literally went to a library and got a book and educated myself on what mental illness was and what schizophrenia was. So that's the start of my adolescence. Yeah. And then from there, it kind of sent me in what I call my decade of darkness. My decade of darkness was, I didn't want to talk about it to any of my friends. I became very shy. I was already shy, but even more so. So how did I handle what was going on at home was turning to smoking cigarettes, doing drugs, going to raves, teenage suicide survivor, all of this. And then in my early 20s, I ended up in California, and I lived in LA for 20 years. I ended up here because my dad hired a private investigator to find my mom again. And he found her in Santa Monica, where we are today. And so at 18, I flew out here thinking I could bring mom home. And that wasn't going to happen. She was homeless at the time again. But she did have a job at a coffee shop. But I fell in love with California, and I ended up moving here 3 months later. And I was supposed to start at Indiana University with Drew. Dad was not happy, but I saved $600 and I drove myself out here.
With $600 and a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the dream at that point to move out here? Like,
the parties were way better in California than Indiana. The raves, like when I was here, I was like, oh, the parties are way better. So that was, I didn't know. I was so lost because I always thought I was going to end up like my mother. My grandfather also had schizophrenia and died by suicide. And then I just was in this spiral of, who cares about my life? I will never be successful. If I tried to be successful, I would lose my dream because I would end up with a mental illness. So why even try? And so I was like, let's just go have fun.
And in your research of what this diagnosis holds, were you sort of like reassuring yourself that you were going to get it through that research?
Yeah. It's genetic. It's this. But at the same time, I felt like even though mentally I was depressed and not taking care of myself, I felt this awareness within that this wasn't going to happen to me. And it was a conversation I had with my dad when I was probably 21, 22. And we had on my podcast, we talked about our Hollywood days. Like,
yeah,
I was just out in Hollywood having a good time. And I went on a 3-day bender and called my dad. And I was like, I don't think that what I believe is going to happen to me is going to happen to me. And I need to change my life. Otherwise, I'm going to die. And my dad was like, Karena, your mental stability at this age is nowhere where your mom's was at your age. You are not your mother. And I was like, okay, let me make a change.
Okay, let's like zoom in on this. Yeah. Okay, so what, if you can recall, gave you that moment of groundbreaking insight? The insight of, I can tell inside of me that my truth and the truth that I have, and the lie that I've absorbed, right, about who and what I'm going to become, right, there's a disjointedness there, and I see it now. What caused that moment of clarity to see that disjointedness? Where in the bender? Was it because you were high on something? Was it because were coming down from something?
I was in a park in East LA one morning, and I was like, this is not for me. It was intuition.
Yes.
There was like a click in my brain that said, this is not you. This is not who you're meant to be. Get out of this. And I always say it's harder to make a change than to stay in the same patterns.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So I went on the path of making a change. I changed Hollywood club nights for surfing at sunrise.
Well, and the reason that I'm zooming in on this is because I'm thinking about the conversations with the people who have sat in that chair or zoomed in, and everybody seems to have maybe one, but perhaps more. But I'm even thinking of my conversation with Radha, where it was she looked in the mirror and it was her birthday, and she had this moment when she was looking at herself in the mirror of, this is not how I want to live my life, or you being in that park and having that moment, right, of insight or intuition or awareness, right, the light bulb going on. Yeah. And the reason that I love to zoom in on it is because those are the moments, right? They say it doesn't take 20 years to change. It takes that moment of inspiration, that moment of desperation, that moment of insight, awareness shifting, right, and expanding. And I love to dig into that moment because people go, well, I'm not having those moments.
They're not listening to themselves.
Thank you. Okay.
They're not trusting themselves.
Yes.
They're not believing that they have that thought, and they don't have the trust in themselves to carry out that thought.
That's the conversation. That's what I'm talking about. And so something about that moment made you available to the awareness. And do you know what that might have been that made you more available to listen in that moment? Because I believe it was always talking to you.
It was higher power.
A surrender, if you will.
Yeah.
A surrender.
Something just came over. It's you're not going to die like this. You have something better to do. You're going to turn your story into something powerful.
Into service.
Yeah.
Your mess is going to become your message.
I'm getting teary-eyed, and I talk about this all the time, but I literally put myself back in that moment. I'm picturing myself sitting there. What was that? What clicked where I believed in myself again?
Well, and that's what gets lost, right? It's we read the self-help books or we sit and have these conversations, but the juice of it is the emotion that you're feeling right now. It's about actually really figuring out what mechanisms, what was the technology, what was absolutely true in that moment for you, for anybody that has those life-altering moments.
Yeah.
Right? And it is to admit, when we really allow ourselves to go back and be present in the moment of that awakening or that awareness, to go, fuck, it was a higher power. Right? It was something about me that became available to something else being true, because our spirit holds so much more possibility than our humanity ever could.
Yeah.
It's limiting, right? So thank you for being that honest and going into that moment and being so aware to share it with people, because there is, I say this all the time, but there is something that we humans love to do, which is try to arm wrestle the universe into submission and say, no, this is the way I want it to be, or this is the best that it could ever be for me, or this is or isn't possible for me. And we're limiting ourselves so much by doing that, because the universe has a divine order and we're not allowing it to play itself out without arguing with it and exhausting ourselves in the process.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that that moment was 22 years ago, and the healing through, all of the stuff in the story of my mother, and my mother passed away in 2021 and I was her caretaker. Like, just to point out that it's never perfect. You're just always growing and moving and improving. And even that moment in the park to then the transitions. I did read a lot of self-help books. I got back to
Ditto.
which were great.
Yeah.
Eckhart Tolle, love you.
Hi, honey. Hi, Eckhart.
I thought back to when I was my happiest, and it was when I was a kid at like 10, 11 years old, and I ran my first half marathon. So I was like physical fitness, and I used to watch my mom work out to Jane Fonda and Kathy Smith.
Oh my God, me too.
Really?
I'm so, oh my God. My mom was just here visiting, and my brother was here. It was my dad's 80th. And we were reminiscing about my mom's Jane Fonda days. And my mom does not work out anymore. Yeah. But my brother put on the soundtrack to the Jane Fonda. It was that, it started with that Michael Jackson song. And my mom started doing the moves. Her body remembered. Yeah. It's like riding a bike. But yeah, Jane Fonda.
But that also, you think about before my mom got sick, she was working out and she was being a role model to me and showed me physical fitness. Mm-hmm. And my dad was a runner, so I loved to run. And I would watch my mom working out to Jane Fonda. And in my head, as a little girl, I was like, one day I want to do that. And that was as a kid. And then I circled.
You didn't do it with her?
I would sometimes work out with her, yeah. But yeah.
Oh my God, I'd put on my leotard. I'd be like, let's go.
But it's so interesting. And here's a fun fact. So I would witness my mom working out, and that was instilled in me. And then later on in life, I ended up working with Jane Fonda.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I love you, Jane.
She's amazing. No, when she had her comeback to fitness, she chose Tone It Up, me and my business partner, to be the new faces of fitness in the beginning of Tone It Up. And we did DVDs with her. It was us and Tara Stiles, Jeanette Jenkins were like the three new faces of fitness. And I'm like, oh my gosh, dying. Full circle. Yeah. I looked at my mom working out to Jane Fonda. I said, I want to do that one day. And then I'm sitting here with Jane Fonda.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, people. Like I said, that right there is the example of, you know, if you try to arm wrestle the universe and say the best it'll ever get is I'm going to work at a coffee shop like my mom because I'm going to have mental illness. But the universe is like, no, you're going to work with Jane Fonda. Yeah. Do it like living your dream, right? It's like, stop trying to control the outcomes. Mm-hmm. Whether you realize it or not, you are putting a limit on what is possible for you. Okay. We can stop the interview because she worked with Jane Fonda. She was selected by Jane Fonda. No, I'm just kidding. No, dream. Okay. So how did you, I mean, other than this, like, I want to do that, right? Like it was instilled in you because it was modeled to you as a child. Like, oh, this is what health and wellness looks like. This is what fitness looks like. This is what being in your body looks like. Like, this all is dazzling to me. And one day I'm going to be part of this. Is that ultimately like what led you into the work that you're doing now? Was that the gateway or the portal into that? Or was there a moment where maybe you hadn't done that and then you went, oh, right, I remember that this was what I wanted to do?
It was a mixture of when I was my happiest. Mm-hmm. It was crossing a finish line. And I can tell the story about crossing a finish line again and how that gave me confidence. And also then once I started working out again and how it made me feel, not the aesthetic, it was how can I share this feeling with other people and other women? And so that's what I wanted to share, and just started sharing fitness, not just fitness for fun. At the time, fitness was very, it was like the Biggest Loser days, you know?
Mm-hmm. I actually worked on Biggest Loser. Oh, yes, I did. Mm-hmm. I did. On the production side. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, well, how can we shift being yelled at and shift in fitness, making fitness fun again? Mm-hmm. And so that was the goal. And when I go back to crossing the finish line story, and we talk about self-confidence, so back to Karena at early 20s, saying, I'm just going to end up like my mom. I'm not going to achieve anything. The first thing that I challenged myself with was signing up for a triathlon. And I hated it. I hated swimming in the ocean and running and doing all the things again. But it once you're done, it felt so good. And so then one morning I took myself from LA to San Diego, 2 a.m., packed up my truck with my bike, all my equipment, went by myself to this women's triathlon. And you start with a swim. I totally had a panic attack in the water, but I breathed through it. And then I went to the transition. I did the bike. I get off the bike. I do the run. And I crossed that finish line and just tears flowing. And it's just a triathlon. It was a sprint. Not a big deal. But it was
I beg to differ, but that's fine. Sure, to each their own.
But it was in that moment that I signed up for something. It was the first time in my life I signed up for something and I followed through. And so through that, I realized, oh, I can believe in myself. I can trust myself.
I can count on myself.
Yeah. And that was when I was like, what else can you do, Karena?
That's really, I think, something to note and to highlight and to like, pull out for people is sometimes it really is just about doing it once.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really is just about, oh, I did it. And whether I did it perfectly or not doesn't actually matter. It's the fact that I got up and I tried, I held myself accountable, I did my best. And if I did it once and I didn't die, I can do it again.
Well, think about it. There's step 1, the aha moment in the park. Trust the intuition. Step 2, how can you really prove that you believe in yourself and trust yourself? And that was the race. And then it was just going from there. Yeah.
And when you say going from there, meaning that is the point when you started sharing your journey, or you had started sharing it before the triathlon?
I actually kept the journey to myself for many years. I didn't start until my book came out. I didn't share my whole journey because it was such a success with Tone It Up and a fitness superstar and a triathlete prior and on tons of magazine covers and everything that I felt ashamed of my story still. So I believed in myself, but I didn't believe that I could share my story because
you didn't believe other people would believe in you if you shared your shadow.
Correct. So I kept that hidden for many years. And then finally I was like, through therapy and everything, I was like, I need to let this out. And I started writing my memoir because I was told that my mom was in her last days, and it was more of a journal, and I needed to get my story out, my feelings. And it took 5 years. It was more just, let me just put this all on paper.
Yeah.
And I had journals from when I was 10, 11, 12, 14, 18, all my journals that helped me have all these memories. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to publish it. And I was so scared. But when that happened, the amount of people from my community and Tone It Up and outside the community that said, oh my gosh, I thought I was alone. I thought you were this perfect person all along. And I realized that by sharing my story and breaking that silence, that we all can help heal each other and come together.
Well, it's so funny to me because, the message of working out, of fitness, even in the title Tone It Up, right? It's all about strength.
Yeah.
It's all about strength, but it's all this external presentational, not that you don't get, internally healthy from working out, but like it is very much like strength for, the physical sake rather than this emotional strength, which that was such a heavier lift for you, really, than any of the physical stuff was. But it was something that you weren't, willing to share.
Yeah.
And isn't it something that we could all be so aware of and so advocating of, a la The Big Silence, to speak it?
Yeah.
Right? Because, thank God in today's society, those conversations are becoming more prevalent, but
That's amazing. Yeah.
to suffer in silence right?
Yeah. And not living in your truth.
And not living in your truth.
Finally,
and feeling isolated in it.
Yeah. Finally, just like speaking and saying whatever.
And now everybody looks at you and goes, well, shit, she's the strongest person I know. Like inside, outside, you know, like backward, forward. Like now that is somebody that is inspiring to me in terms of building real strength, enduring strength.
Yeah.
What a story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we're always still healing, you know, through trauma and everything. But
I say this every podcast at some point. When none of us are Buddha on a mountaintop.
I'm no Buddha.
In mudra pose, 24/7, just like it's all good. Like no, we're
maybe Deepak.
I doubt it. Really, sorry, Deepak. It really, like, because we're human, and that is not the essence of what it is.
Well, that's why I like where society is going now and being more open and having these conversations that perfectionism is not real. And even in fitness, and you know, that's why I did with Tone It Up, I brought in meditations, and even with our trainers within the app, it's more motivational, and we're not talking about, you know, getting rid of your love handle or this. It's more motivational.
So externally focused.
Yeah.
I know. That's why we, in Soul Sway, it's like the whole thing is about the internal gaze. It is about we have so much pressure in today's society.
Yeah.
On external gaze, influence, judgments, keeping up with the media and agendas and the measuring stick of who holds value because they have this weight on the scale or this number in the bank account or this many followers. It's like, oh my God, where are you in all of that?
Yeah.
You're wearing a shirt right now for people that are not watching us on YouTube. She's wearing a big silent shirt right now that says, how would you feel if you spoke to yourself with love today? What a tremendous question, because most people don't show up like that. Mm-hmm. They don't show up like that. And I would say, ask yourself that question when you're scrolling social media and comparing and despairing.
Right. So what does showing up with love for yourself today look like for you? Or like, what is that mindset? I had the topic, was it Dr. Deepika Chopra yesterday was talking about optimism. How do we shift those little shifts of the mindset of pessimism to optimism is so important, and loving yourself, like it's all a mental game.
It is a mental game, and I'm going to speak to you as two body people, right? That there's also a training in each of us, right? A conditioning, I would call it, to not listen to our bodies, to not listen to our intuition and our gut knowing, to not listen to our spiritual attunement of deep knowing, right? Our bodies, I believe, are our number one feedback system for our soul and the soul's purpose and the soul's mission this time around. And your body is constantly talking. 90% of communication nonverbal. Body's constantly telling us you're on the track of, you know, your body's a compass to your soul's true north. You're tracking your true north, you're not. You're on purpose, you're off purpose, right? And your mind will lie to you, right? And it will disjoint the alignment between the soul and the body's deepest knowing and their ability to only tell the truth when your mind is lying to you. So I think that there is something that you and I are uniquely aware of that a lot of people aren't. And that is that, like, your mind at one point was taking you to really dark places about what your future was going to be and what was possible and not possible for you, rather than that deeper intuition, that deeper knowing from your body and from your soul that was not your path.
Yeah.
Hey fam, it's me, Alexis. Quick pause to shout out something that's not just a sponsor. It's my creation, Soul Sway Practice. This is the evolution of fitness. Think of it like microdosing your own neurochemicals, dopamine, serotonin, all the good stuff, no substances required. Soul Sway takes what's dulled and deadened and brings it back to life. It's multi-dimensional self-care, movement, mindfulness, meditation that lets you actually hear yourself again, because our lives are loud, compartmentalized, draining. This is your time to come back online, set to curated and kick-ass soundtracks and cinematic backdrops that help remove the outside noise to tune into what matters most, you. This is your time, your practice, your life. Let's make it yours. With subscription-based classes, on demand, or courses, design your practice to not only fit, but enhance your life. Go to soulswaypractice.com and use code LAMN50 for 50% off your first month or year. You're welcome.
Well, you're the queen of embodiment. And yeah, your mind is a muscle the same as you're training your body. And like I said earlier, it's harder to make a positive change than stay in the same path. So you have to train your mind. And also like meditation has really helped with that. And knowing when I need to go deep down into meditation and refocus and become present again. And a lot of people even, that's one of my greatest practices aside from just getting up and moving my body when I don't want to. And a lot of people are afraid of meditation because they think it's so hard. But it's
scary. It's scary for people.
Scary to sit with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But once you do, there's a quote, Kyle Cease, it was at a meditation retreat that he led. And he said, if you can't sit with yourself in silence, how do you expect anyone to be able to sit with you? Like, you have to be good with yourself and comfortable with yourself and your body and your mind so that then you can be a great friend, a great partner, a great leader. And I think
if you hadn't sat with yourself in that park, you wouldn't be here today.
Correct.
It is about presence, I think, is what you're talking about. The ability to be present in a moment and not rushing ahead to forecast what could possibly go wrong and what do I need to do to get ahead and to, stay on track. And we are constantly rushing past. And it's, in today's society, everything like fast food, faster internet, like go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. There is not a slowness and a presence. And to your point, people want to stay with what's familiar.
Yeah.
They don't want to change. And slow feels different and feels scary. And God forbid, for me especially, when people do meditate or they do get in contact with their bodies, which they're so conditioned not to be in their bodies, it is terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. A moment in the park. That was a moment where I was present. I found that presence and was like, here I am looking around. This is not who I am.
Yeah. I just want to play The Greatest Showman's This Is Me soundtrack right now. I wish I could just cue that up in this moment. Because it does. It takes, it's almost like a perfect storm, like a moment of presence meets a moment of self-awareness and availability to really hear that deeper intuition. And then also the choice in that moment to go, and I'm going to not only hear it, but I'm going to pursue it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot to happen in a moment. It's sort of the trifecta, right, of change that you're speaking to. Mm-hmm. And I don't want people to feel like that is elusive to them or that it took a special set of circumstances for that to happen to you, because really what it took was you giving yourself a moment to be present, you really listening to what was there, you accepting it without, I'm not hearing you say you judged yourself in that moment. You accepted it with this empowerment to go, I get to make a different choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was no judgment to myself. It was, I get to make the choice. I deserve better. It's okay, Karena, little Karena inside. It's okay what you've been going through. Let's make
and
a
no
change.
wonder you went through what you went through.
Yeah.
No wonder this is your internal ecosystem, given the storms that you've had to weather throughout your life, right? And you do get to outgrow that. You do get to make a different choice when and if you're ready.
Yeah, I always look at my past as a gift. to be able to experience such grief at a young age and to overcome that and take it into something, to change my story, I wouldn't change anything in my past.
Isn't that so interesting? I'm writing a book right now, and as I was writing one part of it, I remember a light bulb going off as I was writing it and going, oh my God, one of the worst moments of my life was when I actually saw the best of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I was, falling apart at that time, I was having postpartum psychosis, something awful had just happened. And I look back at that moment now and I go, God, the way that I got through that really it showcases the best of me, because it's not about the breakdown, right? It's about how we get through things that are hard. And if we could look at how we get through things without judging it, without judging the tools or the resources that we use, judging ourselves, wow, we can do hard things.
Yeah. And I look at, take what I experienced as a kid to now as an adult and in business. I take risk. The worst has already happened. I survived a suicide attempt. I survived a schizophrenic missing person's mother. I survived a broken home. And so then I now can take that and have this fearless mindset where what's the worst that could happen? Let's just go for it.
And so now you've it's been a succession of build, right? I'm going to be of service with this now. And so can you walk us through the steps of building these pillars of service?
Where do you want to start?
You've run these marathons.
Yeah.
You've realized how powerful you are. You've realized that you want to, share that strength with the world, how to build strength. At first it was external, right? The more physical aspect of things. Eventually you went internal and you shared more of that emotional growth and building of strength. But what were sort of the phases of, okay, I'm actually going to turn my personal journey of running marathons into Tone It Up, or I am now going to create the big silence. Could you walk us through that?
It goes back to the word of intuition. It's never of okay, what kind of business can I build? It's how can I serve? Let me go into that first. Because I just feel so grateful to be here and to have a voice. How can I help other people? That's the only step, is I don't know if there's a step 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
It's trust in yourself.
Yes.
Go for your dreams.
Yes.
Be a good damn person.
Mm-hmm.
Provide service.
Totally.
And the rest will come.
Yes. But for you, step 1 was tone it up.
Yeah. Well,
would you say that was your first foray into, I'm going to use everything that I have revealed to myself about my strengths and what my purpose and mission is? For purpose and mission
to
help others.
And business and tone it up. And
it was tone it
taking
up.
that risk. And then, and even with Tone It Up, it was about building community, and we were the first people on Instagram before there were influencers. And YouTube, it was just music. And we were on there. I know, that's wild, isn't it? It was just providing a service and creating community and a safe place for women to come together in a non-judgmental way. Because probably I wanted that because I didn't judge myself for anything either of my past. And I just wanted a safe place for women to come and become friends. And probably I was so shy that I had avoided my story that I just wanted everyone to feel safe.
Okay. So, it's just, isn't it just, I'm it's just so funny how, I look at my childhood experiences, and it's like, of course I'm doing what I do now.
Yeah.
And I hear your childhood experience, of course you're doing what you do now. And yet, how many people need that? How many women need that safe space?
Yeah.
How many women need to find places that they get to practice being strong and being vulnerable, right? And feeling like they're in the safest possible environment to give themselves permission to do that.
Yeah. And, you know, with Tone It Up, to think that it's been around for the community for 16 years, that's a long time.
That is a long time. That is a long time.
Yeah. And to be able to still have that safe space, that's like one of my proudest things, is to have that sustainability. And as so many more fitness apps and fitness
they're everywhere.
They're everywhere now. But like OG, like that's one of my proudest moments.
Yes.
Being a part of that and continuing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be like, I was one of the first, there weren't even influencers when I got Instagram. It's like, my parents like, I used to walk to school and I didn't have any shoes on in the snow. But I mean, no, it's like, but that is, I mean, really that's like, you know, legacy stuff.
Yeah.
That's really, really big. Okay. So Tone It Up. Then eventually you gave birth to the Big Silence Foundation. Yeah. And can you speak to that? Like, what was the trajectory of going from Tone It Up to Big Silence?
Yeah. So even we'll go to Tone It Up. And again, remember, I was too afraid to share my story.
Yes, correct.
And then I eventually brought meditation into Tone It Up. And at the time, my business partner too was like, you can't share your story. Like, this is so bad. And then I was like, I'm going to start talking about it. And then I was like, how can I, aside from fitness and meditation, how can I share my story and help other people? And so I decided to start the foundation in 2021. And the foundation includes all of our resources, the Therapy for All program I mentioned, and events that we do to help others. And I just finally sharing my story was also my freedom, my silence being lifted, the weight off my shoulders, like to be able to breathe again and be fully embodied in who I am and who I was. And it just...
The truth will set you free.
The truth will set you free. And it has. And now it's one of my favorite projects that I am doing is sharing stories and hearing stories and letting other people set their truth free and see them heal in that way.
So if there's somebody who's listening right now and they are suffering in silence, they are... sort of stuffing down and suppressing something that is painful for them, and they don't feel safe or they don't feel able to free themselves of that. What might you say to someone like that?
You are not alone. Reach out to someone. Come to the Big Silence community. Another, I'm on the board of advisors for NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. They have great programs too and support groups. But there's text lines or numbers you can call and talk and be anonymous. Just don't be afraid to step out there, because the first take a micro step and reach out. And then that micro step will turn into another one. It's the same thing I talk about with fitness. Like, you don't want to work out. Give yourself 10 minutes. That 10 minutes will turn into 20. Just a tiny little micro step that then will give you that empowerment to believe in yourself and to take that step further.
And it sort of harkens back to you saying, like, people don't want to change. Sort of like, it goes back, I'm such a science nerd.
Yeah.
But it's like the objects in motion tend to stay in motion, and objects at rest tend to stay at rest. And, it is the person that's sitting on the couch and doesn't want to get up is the person that is at rest, and they're going to tend to stay at rest unless there is some sort of force that puts them into motion. But once they're in motion, something in motion wants to stay in motion. And I think that speaks to give it 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying bully yourself, keep going past 10 minutes if after 10 minutes you seriously are like, I cannot do this. But be honest with yourself after that 10 minutes, right? And don't go, well, I'm making an idiot out of myself because I said I wanted to stay at rest, so I'm just going to rely, back on that old behavior. But actually listen to your body.
Yeah.
And if your body's going, no, actually this feels good, let's keep going, then you can actually see that the force that gets applied to the object at rest or motion is you. It is that mental push.
Yeah. And you'll see the changes immediately if you reach out and start, whether it's working out, meditating, healing, reaching out to a therapist or having a conversation about what's going on emotionally, you'll see it in your body. Mm-hmm. Like if you have, I used to have psoriasis, and this is a great story. And I hope doctors like this still exist. When I was in my early 20s going through my healing, my whole body was covered in psoriasis. And I went to a free clinic in Hollywood, and the doctor was like, hey, are you under a lot of stress? Mm-hmm. And this was after my moment in the park. And I was like, yeah. She's like, well, I'm not going to prescribe you any medications like Xanax or whatever would be. She's like, I want you to start doing yoga and get vitamin D. And I was like, okay. And I listened to her, and I couldn't afford yoga classes at the time. So I went to Angel City Yoga in the Valley.
Been there.
Really? Oh my gosh. I used to work there. I volunteered my time there for free yoga classes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We've met. We've crossed paths. We did. We did it.
And I started with Kundalini.
Maybe at the free clinic. Maybe in Angel City. Who knows?
Yeah, so that's how I got into yoga, and then I would just go lay at the beach, and I healed my psoriasis. And I'll have pop-ups here and there if I know your body, like I was saying, your body will show you when you're stressed. And I'm like, okay, you're stressed. You have this coming on. Okay, what do? Meditate, work out, sunlight.
I had stuffed myself with so much toxicity because I wasn't empowered.
Yeah.
That I literally got cancer in my power center and had to have it. I binged on toxicity to the point where I had to purge it through having my womb removed, chemo, radiation. I mean, the body keeps the score, people.
Yeah.
It does. And to your point, like, thank God there was a doctor out there that went, hold on a second. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
You need to love on your nervous system, girl.
I know, which is great. I mean, these days I feel like you go in and it's just you're prescribed something.
A pill for every ill, as they say.
Yeah. We got lots of free prescriptions out there. Sunlight, movement.
I can't say enough about it. That's a whole other podcast, and I'm here for it because I couldn't agree more. Okay, so then you wrote the book.
Yes.
Tell us about the book.
Okay, so like I said, it took 5 years. I thought I was going to write it in a year. I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm going to write it, be done. But it took 5 years because there was so much transition, and the whole story is in the book. And then I finished the book, but then I had to write an epilogue because my mother passed away. It ended with this like beautiful story. My mom was healthy again. I had bought her a cabin in Idlewild, but she loved to live in the mountains. And that's just like up outside of Palm Springs, like up in the mountains. And then she ended up passing away. So I had to write an epilogue about her last 3 days. And that was like the hardest part because I spent the last 3 days in hospice with her. And I told her, she had always denied her mental illness, and she was upset with me working with NAMI and me speaking in schools to young children about mental health. And she had the stigma. She's like, I don't talk about it because the stigma, people think I'm dangerous. And so last 3 days in hospice, I told her about the big silence. And I said, I'd been writing a book. I'm starting a foundation so people don't have to suffer in silence like you have your whole life. She never got to be free. She was never on her medications because she didn't want to go to doctors. She didn't want people to think she was crazy. And so she suffered her entire life. And so that is, the big silence is in honor of her. And she knew that I was writing the book and the foundation, and she said, thank you.
How beautiful. And what beautiful closure to the book too. I mean, it's just, there is something that we don't get when we're in the moment, because hindsight is 20/20, and there's something really really beautiful that in those final moments that she got to become fully aware of it and to bless it in the best way that she knew how.
Yeah, and she blessed it, and she said, finally, she said, it's not just my physical health, it's my mental health. Ugh. If only there was that acceptance years ago, and perhaps she could have done the work and gone through. I got her into therapy, and we went to therapy together, but find the right medications for mental illness. Like, it's a disease of the brain. Yeah. It's like if you have cancer, like you can't, it's a cancer, basically. It's, you can't heal it on your own, something like that.
Well, and of course it just brings up the question of, A, how much of that was the disease talking? B, how much of that was how much shame she internalized about what her diagnosis was or what her experience was based on how she was raised.
Yeah.
And how the world already thinks women are crazy, And there's just, it is layers upon layers upon layers of stereotypes and judgments or critiques or agendas in the patriarchal system. And I mean, it goes on and on, right? But
generational trauma and all of that. And, and also she was later, when I was her caretaker and we were in therapy together and going to psychologists, we would go together and then separate. And then psychologist was like, your mom's a narcissist too. I was like, got it. She also, I always laugh at this story. My mom on day 2 of hospice, she told me, I never really liked the cabin you bought me. I was like, thank you, Mom.
Okay, truth teller. So now we're like, really, we've gone from guardrail to guardrail, from like not admitting anything to just oversharing the truth. Here we go. We love it.
But I didn't take that personally. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's interesting. I was reading an article this morning about, since you said narcissism, about how narcissists often create something called echoists. Mm-hmm. And it literally is the antithesis, right? Almost like the yin to the yang of narcissists, mm-hmm. where they become people pleasers, where they become introverted and shy, where they literally just start to shapeshift mm-hmm. and be this chameleon that becomes who and what other people expect them to be, need them to be. And it sort of embodies this idea of silence, mm-hmm. right? It comes from, in Greek mythology, the echo had a love for Narcissus, mm-hmm. and I guess was cursed to only ever be able to repeat the last thing that somebody had said to her. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that I think there's a lot of awareness about narcissism out there right now, but there's not a lot of awareness about what happens on the other side to that echoist. Mm-hmm. And I think what you're doing gives a lot of voice to that, and I applaud it because I think it's really, really necessary.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Trying to break some patterns over here.
Let's go. We could all use that. Okay, so we've looked at the past, we've looked at the present. Like, as we turn towards the future, what is on the horizon line? I mean, the book's coming out.
Horizon line. Well, the book is out. The audiobook just came out.
out.
Horizon line professionally, just keep doing what I love. Keep doing, with Tone It Up, Big Silence, ending the stigma, raising the voice, making noise. I think more importantly, I'm at this point in my life now that I'm 44, and apparently I'm in midlife now. Every speaking
Water's warm. Come on in.
Every speaking engagement, everything's like midlife. I was like, how did I get here? I'm glad I got here. Mm-hmm. But I will say, when I think of horizon, it's living in joy. Mm. Every choice I make, career, personally, friendships, everything. Like, I just, joy and flow.
Flow.
Yeah.
Flow. And flow comes from that alignment, right?
Yeah.
It's going back to that moment in the park of like, here's my deep truth.
Yeah.
And here's my choice to live in service of that.
Yeah.
To follow that compass to my soul's true north.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing I've learned. We need to come up with a good word for midlife. Like, that's not a good word.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's do that.
We can brainstorm.
Yeah.
Like something
maybe
that's
central
celebratory.
life, because it's the center. It's not the beginning, it's not the end, it's a center life.
Yeah. Yeah,
Center
like
life.
something more positive. Like, we get to be here. Like, and not making it sound so like you're halfway there. Like, how do we figure out like to be excited, to be we're wiser, we're smarter, we set boundaries, we
Ripe life. We're ripe life. Like, we are at this stage of like real ripeness. Like, we've grown, we've gotten juicy like we're
life.
ready to like, we're not going to fall off the vine yet, but we're ripe.
Yeah.
Ripe life. That's what I'm going with.
There you go. I'll text
Write
you
that
too.
down. Write that down, everybody. Ripe life.
Yeah, it's just saying yes to the things you want to say yes to, and no to the people, the things, the situations you don't want to be in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No lives in the land of yes, and yes lives in the land of no.
Yes.
Balance is everything, people.
Harmony.
Who doesn't want that?
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't want that? I mean, do we want to listen to music that has no harmony? No. Okay. I'm going to ask you the final question.
Okay. The surprise question. Okay.
Yes. Deep breath. Okay. So I want you to imagine that you have a mirror in front of you.
Okay.
And we are going to drown out all of the noise, all of the gaze, all of the judgments and the agendas and the shoulds and the shouldn'ts in the world outside of you. And you are alone with you now, right? This really sovereign, really ripe woman that you are now, and all the yous that you have been before, in the park, in your childhood, in your party days in LA. All of you are present in this moment, in this mirrored gaze, knowing that whatever you've done or not done, you are worthy of love. This is your look at me now moment. What is it that you say to that person in the mirror in reverence and acknowledgement and validation?
I'm getting teary. I don't know why I'm so emotional today, but which is fine. I actually had that moment this morning. I would look at myself and say, how could you never have loved that? In so many stages of your life, you looked in that mirror and you didn't like who she was. But today, you're like, damn, look at me now.
Most people get teary when I offer that question, so
Okay,
you are not alone. And yeah, I think the reason that you're emotional is because you're being real.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely only gifts to be had when we share our emotion, because we're sharing our truth, and that is the greatest currency.
Yeah.
And I'm even going to say, like, even in the question, how could you have never loved this? Because you were surviving.
Mm-hmm.
And there is even like a twinge of judgment, and how could you have not? Well, because it served you fucking greatly not to. And that is what makes the fact that you do now that much more powerful, potent, true, and relatable, right? Because there are so many people listening now who still look in the mirror and don't. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And we're offering an opportunity through the beautiful work that you're doing in the world for that narrative to change because it's a choice.
Yeah.
And you're giving people not only the opportunity to step into that choice, but the tools to do it. And that's miracle work. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you're embodying it. And I think the only way to really hold someone's hand, you know, who's walking through the fire into the transformation is to have the burns, you know, the burn marks to prove it, that you've been there and you've done that. And so I can only say, like, deep bow to you, sister.
Thank you, and deep bow to you.
Yeah. And I can't thank you enough for being here, for being you, right? And just like really bringing it, like real deal Holyfield style. I want to make sure that I'm going to do what I do every time. Everybody get ready or hold your ears. How can everybody be part of your world?
Where can you find me? Well, on Instagram, Karena Dawn, KarenaDawn.com, the big signs.
I'm friends with her.
Yeah, you can follow, DM me.
All the cool kids are doing it.
I respond to all my DMs. TheBigSilence.com. And of course, Tone It Up.
Of course, Tone It Up.
Yeah. I'm all over them. Yeah, just...
Of course, you guys, we got to do it all. We've got to do all the things. We got to keep our body healthy. We got to keep our mind strong. We got to keep our souls nourished and aligned. There's a lot to do. So yes, here we go. I love you.
Love you too.
I'm so grateful. What a beautiful, rich, full conversation. Everybody out there, I love you too. I mean, we both do. Yeah. We love you. Like, all of this is in service of you, really. It is the mission, I think, that you and I share, to give everybody the insight, the information, the tools, the whatever it is that they need, the support to make the choices for their own highest good, and to know that we can all remember that we are enough, we have enough, there is enough.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to shut up. I love you.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Join us for Look at Me Now, wherever you listen to podcasts. And be sure to share, like, and subscribe.